Yo, yo, yo. Ho, ho, ho. It's not Christmas yet. But hey, guys, welcome to Saber Comp 20. It's the first Saber Comp. Really, it's the same thing as Lightsaber Choreography competition, but we wanted to rebrand. I think mostly we started that because we didn't really want to get sued and shit like that. But now I think it's just a better way of saying it in general because we're moving a little bit away from dedicated choreography to more making, more complete fight scene stories, I guess is the way we would brand it.
Broadens the spectrum a little bit there.
Yeah,
definitely.
that's what I would say. But today we I have with me, I guess if I go this way, I have Max. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Max Jordan. I've entered like 6 different times over the past 10 years ish. And yeah, I've won a couple times with loyalty and recollection.
Dope. And then right below me, we got Eric Whiteley. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Eric Whiteley from Blind Wave, the YouTube channel. Entered into the lightsaber, the Saber Comp a couple times, won a couple times. A lot of fun. I love watching these every year. It's like a nice annual holiday for me.
Hey, where is everybody else too? I should ask, like Shane and everybody else. What are they doing?
Oh, they're all got kids and families.
Oh, that's true.
You just gotta let them loose, and you're not.
So do I, but I kicked them out, man.
Oh, see, look at that! And then there you go. Last but not least.
Yeah.
True fan.
All of our resume is entered a couple times, so won a couple times, so that's on same here. Yeah, my name's Ryan Weaver there, by the way. There.
Actually, I would say you entered thrice and won thrice. Or am I wrong about that? Didn't you enter 3 times?
You're probably right. Ryan versus Dorkman, first time. I guess Ryan versus Brandon the first, which is going way back. I don't even remember, but I may have won. And then Ryan versus Brandon too.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so everyone, we are going to do it as we did for the past 3 years. We're going to be live judging the top 10. Sorry about that motorcycle, if you guys hear that. We're doing the top 10 entries of this year. Then we're going to deliberate for about half an hour. Then we're going to announce the winners today, or not today, but this year we have more categories. So going along with theme and choreography, we have production design, and we have a visual effects section as well, and cinematography and editing are coming back. Just a reminder, if you are trying to get this year's Saber Comp t-shirt 2019, you have 8 more hours before it goes away completely until we do 2020. So if you want that, make sure you're looking into that. But without further ado, let's get into our first entry. We are all going to go together on the screen. You guys don't have to do anything on your end. It'll pop up on your end, and we're gonna go. And everybody ready, by the way?
Okay. Yes. Thank you.
Here we go. Sorry. We're gonna click in 3, 2, 1, play. And our first entry, if I'm not mistaken, is Balance of the Force.
One of the two.
One of the two. Although I think this one is that's like 3 of them this year, if I'm not mistaken.
That were named that? I know there was 2 that
I think there's 2 that were named.
Oh, it was just 2. Okay, I thought it was 3. I was like, I should have expected.
This one is interesting. This one we open up and we have it's like a montage of a film you haven't seen to bring you right up to this, which is actually pretty effective for me in terms of kind of going like, oh, okay, all right, I'm sort of it's in a certain way it's almost better than like an actual like tiny linear backstory done in 30 seconds. It sort of makes it feel like you're in a broader world here, So makes you interested to see the rest of this project that they're cooking up here.
Yeah, because it definitely looks like there's something more going on beyond just the fight they had here.
And hitting you right off the bat with production value on this one.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, it establishes some visual credential there, definitely.
Even the simplicity of just the conversation that they were having, and like the shoulder, that is really well done.
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah, this is definitely. I mean, we have a cinematography category here, and I'm sure this is going to be in consideration as we deliberate.
Yeah.
And like the slow-mo, like some, the key to slow-mo for me is always, does it actually show you something that you wouldn't have really caught up with in real time? So it's nice to see when that's used appropriately.
And I like the different kind of weapons in this entry as well.
Yep.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, not many people have done the Magna Guard lights or lightning staff things. much. And
Sorry, I'll be a nerd to hear. It's called an electro staff.
okay,
Pushing on my glasses right now. Sorry.
It is made
Now,
of Furlick metal, Antoine, if you didn't know that.
Oh, there you go. He out nerded me. Oh.
Oh. So an electro staff, you can't cut the ends. They got the little lightning bolts going. But could you cut it in the middle? Or does
You
the
can't.
whole thing, is it impervious?
The whole thing is impervious, at least with the Magna Guards from Episode 3.
Okay,
And,
so it's a staff. Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
you're
staff.
right. Yeah, Obi-Wan was chopping in the middle and it didn't cut through, did it? Yeah.
And I think they make a return with the Jedi Fallen Order game that just came out too.
Oh, Magna Guards? Oh, nice.
Well, no, I just mean the staff.
Oh, the staff itself. Oh, gotcha. Oh, yeah, that's right. Because some of the Stormtrooper people do it.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about the fight here? I like that one shot they had. The feet were sliding back. That little Naruto anime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I will say that almost always double-bladed sabers look great from the top, like from a top-down shot.
Yeah, definitely.
It really shows off.
And that right there, the crate shot, like they're doing really well of choosing the correct shot for the move. I think in this
and that goes a long way, and that's the same thing you were just talking about with that looks good from above. It's always like finding the angles that best let you see what's happening. You know, what makes the movement the most clear, or for me, usually I just like what's the most broad. Like if you're spinning it over your head, looking down on it, you're going to see the most motion, and I think that's a quick way to get there. But a lot of good choices there visually, definitely.
Yeah, and I like the idea of them putting this fight in between these two containers, at least in the beginning of this fight, and being able to funnel the action down. That was pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah, definitely, and using them, you know, like cutting through the side of the thing there. Yeah.
And the advice I give for like someone who's new to like how do I find shots? How do I sort of a thing? Really, honestly, and this is even seeing this from you, Ryan, when we shot together. You literally just sit there and just point your camera around until you're like,
what about this?
I like
What about
that
this?
one.
What about
Yeah,
this?
exactly.
How about this one, you know?
And you do that for every move, for every every piece of choreography versus like, oh, you know what, I'm just gonna be locked off for this entire thing because it's easier to shoot. You actually like, each time there's like a new move, you're like, okay, how about this move being from this angle? And then like actually just moving your camera around.
And it's funny because shooting with you, doing the thing with Ricky, it was like that was way more coverage than I've ever done for anything. Like, in terms of actually just like, let's try this and then we'll cut some of it in, Like normally I'm extremely deliberate. So
because you know exactly what you're gonna do.
I really love the reflection off of the container with the blaster bolt.
Yeah,
that's really cool.
And this is a pretty cool shot too, with her hanging off the cliff.
Yeah, it is. Balance.
So we've talked about a lot on this thing, but not so much the choreography specifically. Now that's only one of in our constellation of categories. But I got to say, for this one of the things that I appreciate most is what we mentioned toward the beginning of it, was just that it's constantly getting refreshed with different sort of weapons, and like the dynamic of it is sort of constantly changing, which makes it really. Oops! Caught it. Okay. Sorry.
Oh, the stopping
I
of it.
almost missed
Yeah.
it.
No, you're
But I like that about this one. It keeps it fresh and evolving throughout, which is important. I mean, when you go on minute 5 of the same.
I definitely agree. When you can take a fight and you can cut out something that happened, in the first minute and place it pretty easily into the 4th minute, it's like that you need to be moving on. This one did that
just like writing.
Yep, and I'm like that with all you guys' entries. Actually, yeah, I'm so glad you guys are the judging panel this year because all of you are really good at keeping pacing every 5-10 seconds. Like there isn't anything that's like getting stale within that moment. There's either some sort of different dynamic going on, or kind of moveset, or different weapon type that's going on, or force powers that are being implemented. It's always very, very dynamic, and I really enjoy that about any kind of entry, especially you guys'.
Meow.
Something in this entry that I would have appreciated a little bit more of is the hits having a little bit more impact, because like a couple times the lightning staff or the electro staff, the Jedi or the Force user got hit with that, and I wanted just like a little bit more impact there, getting like shocked.
A little more consequence to that weapon.
Consequence, good word.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And then a couple of the saber strikes felt like there wasn't a whole lot of impact there. So
selling. Yeah.
Selling the reaction to that. The strikes themselves, the person like attacking had a really good intensity, but the person on the defensive, I would have done it with a little more intensity, but overall just like a pretty solid entry.
Yeah, for sure. And our next one, if everyone has it queued up here, we're going to start it in 3, 2, 1. Our next one here is Balanced Rights. The guys who gave us the Oreo entry last year. I think it was Oreo, right? Like
cookies or cream?
Yeah, cookies and cream. That's what it was. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Eric knows now. He's like, oh,
I do know.
Now I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, these guys are really good. Again, what I was saying before,
Right.
being interesting every few seconds.
You got the cereal, the balanced cereal in there.
Not those New Balance.
Yeah.
I love the cereal was named Balance, right? So
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that a real cereal or did
I don't know.
they
I have no idea.
Apparently, they were.
I would
they were
love it,
talking-
yeah, if it's not real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, they were talking in Discord, and it is they were trying to figure out if it's just an Australian thing or if we have it here.
That's right. They are from Australia, which is always hard on them. It's like
You gotta like that rollover shot.
Oh
there.
yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah, come on, laser baby. Somebody's been watching The Boys.
The Boys.
Oh yeah, I was saying this to Max. They remind me of the channel. I always forget the name of the channel.
Raka
Crazy
Raka.
channel. Yeah, Raka Raka.
Yeah.
Like they have that same energy for
They
sure.
have that energy, yeah.
And I like that there wasn't only one laser baby in their basket. There was 2 of them.
Look at this.
Yeah,
You
that's
see that
good.
moves?
Yeah, you know what? If you want to suck up, that's the right way to suck
It's
up.
a pretty authentic representation of the logo as well. It's
Also, big shout out to Ricky Elliott for making basically what is Saber Comp logo. Like that is going to be our like Nike swoosh, basically.
I would everyone else watching this, I would love to see more like blast shields like that or shields.
Yeah.
used in
Oh my god,
fights.
shield combat? That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Captain America with a lightsaber.
Oh yeah.
Free idea. Go.
Which one wins?
Well, versus who? That's the question.
And good job coming up here. This is a pretty solid piece of choreography, and I love the shield flip there.
Oh, and now here comes some
Yep.
balance for you.
Hey.
And this was
forget
actually
the shield. I don't need it. Okay.
Also, how do you guys do this, by the way? Like,
that was really solid reversing. Like
really solid, yeah.
Yes.
oh my god, it was
Yep, it was reversed. He kicked his
for the
legs up
jump up,
behind
the
him.
jump up, yeah.
For the jump up.
But it
Oh,
was
that
really
makes
solid.
so-
You didn't have a lot of the telltale things that
Yeah, it was
usually
good.
give
It
that
looked good.
away.
I thought it was wire work. See, that's budget filmmaking right there, dude. Oh, that's actually. Did they know that before Fallen Order came out? The whole stopping it and then actually reflecting it. Also, the Pong shit is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that's really funny.
Well, it happened in Force Awakens.
Well, yeah, it did, but Kylo didn't actually hit it back though. Like, you know, he didn't
did
like
not,
turn his
no,
lightsaber on and
no.
hit it back.
But to be fair, I think in Rogue One, Vader caught one and then threw
Oh
it.
yeah, he did. But that's actually a
That's a
two
little different.
menace. Yeah, that's I don't know if that ability still is in canon or not, but that is a.
I really
old
love this
ability.
right here. It's so funny.
Yeah. You guys do solid comedy work.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is.
I would be happy to see more comedy entries in
Yeah, in general.
Saber Comp. Just
Yeah.
overall, it's good.
And the choreography doesn't suffer at all.
No. Mm-hmm.
Oh god.
You can't do that with a sword, man. You can't.
That's a lot of flatulence, by the way. Let's just appreciate the amount of gas that would have to come out to make a Mandalorian-style flamethrower out of it.
Very nice.
And I love how long this run up is.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me give it to you. Great. The double take of him at him again. The triple take actually. I thought it was double, but it was triple.
And is the first time is this the first time we've had rollerblade sabers?
I want to say yes, but then I feel like someone might have done it. Like maybe skateboards. Maybe I think I've seen skateboards before.
Skateboard sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not rollerblades.
Fighting on top of 2 Priuses has been done as well.
Oh god, yeah, that's dangerous. Don't please try not to do that.
I love
That's really cool transition. Like that's really well done. Like
kind of their Scooby Doo.
very entertaining.
Yeah, while not being my favorite fight of the year, it's so fun to watch.
Right.
Yeah.
And kind of that is kind of where it's moving towards, like this contest. It's kind of moving to like who just makes a really cool like fight scene, not necessarily just who makes the best like fight moves.
For me, at the end of the day, it's always like I just hope that at least one comes out of it that I'd actually, you know, without even the contest, like I would want to share it. I would want to be like, oh, hey, everybody, you got to check this out. You know, like,
Right.
Yeah,
dang
you
it.
wanted to have a life after the contest as well, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something.
All right.
I would say that this one, the ending, I felt like I wanted one more like final.
One more
joke.
beat.
Yeah.
One more, yeah.
Yeah.
I could agree with that. I had a good time with it. I enjoyed
Mhm.
the gags and everything.
Yes.
When it sort of doesn't quite break through to the next level, excuse me, for me, just because the choreography that is there is pretty simple. I was kind of waiting for something really sort of clever or interesting that kind of surprised me, I guess. And most of it's pretty, you know,
Right.
pretty straightforward. Not that there's a problem with that, but you know,
Dynamics. All right, so we got our next one queued up. Is everyone ready for the next one?
Yep. All good.
All right, here we go. And 3, 2, 1. Nomination number 3 is Branded, which I just remember from the thumbnail because it's a guy with the beard and the cool looking hair.
Yeah.
But cool opening shot, you know, going through
yeah,
with
good
the
costumes
water
on this one
effects.
as well,
Yeah,
by
good
the way.
costumes. Yeah.
This one was one of my favorite, just like production design wise.
Yeah, I like the energy in these guys. Look at, I
Mhm.
mean, look at them really going for each other there. You know.
And if you guys are in the chat, how did you roto the
Yeah.
sabers? Because sometimes the sabers look like they just have like a bit of glow on them rather than a full roto.
Yeah, it's whenever the motion blurs happen.
It feels like
Yeah.
it feels like if you rotoed it, but then turned on motion blur.
Yeah.
but
That's interesting.
yeah, but the
Because
cores
it
don't
gets that
stay
pink
white.
flare. Yeah, it's that
Mhm.
pinkish kind of thing. That's
You
how
lose
it is
the
in
brightness
Empire.
of
Empire is
yeah.
that.
Sometimes.
Yeah, occasionally. It's not consistent, but like
Well, in the
sometimes.
sequels too, they do it now. They've got motion blur going on there, so they are
Yeah.
not totally opaque. Which,
Yeah.
you know, I have opinions about. Not that
Yeah.
anyone asked, but
This is the one that was most intriguing to me. I was like, how are you holding this guy back with this inverted grip and then behind you? Huh?
yeah.
It takes a while.
The force has to be in place. Oh no, the force is. Oh, I just missed that. His hand's there. His left. I don't know if that's what they intended to do, but his left hand is there, seemingly to stop him with the force, not with his blade necessarily. But good choice of shots too. Like I think they did a really good job of using the background for this particular close up.
Yeah.
And using background elements as well.
And especially here at the beginning, this three-way fight is really good. There isn't a lot of like people waiting in the background.
And when they are, they cut it away. Cut away.
Yeah, they're off screen, and
I do really enjoy. I mean, the Sith Master, he gives all of his story and dialogue.
That was so nice.
Other,
the kick that he just threw his fist or his foot away.
But I enjoy the other two fighters. All of it is in their facial expression.
Right.
What this story is, this rivalry these two have.
And I love the hair.
Yeah.
Everyone's hair.
Nice. Yes.
Hair, beards, everything, man.
And I like it for the theme. The term of this is a theme about balance, and they cannot take this guy when they're still fighting amongst each other. It's only whenever they come together, fight together, that they can. So.
Yeah. And also on another note on the production design, good job with like making the costumes feel worn and dirty.
That's a big thing.
Little
you'll just buy it from the costume shop or just make it, but not actually give it wear and tear.
Lived in. Yep.
Yes.
That's a big thing for visual effects too. Not so much for like lightsabers, but when you're doing like 3D models, you forget to like weather them or stains on glass and things like that. Things are usually too clean in visual effects as well.
I would say this.
Yeah, that drop kick.
Just the double foot kick in the back.
Yeah. And yeah, great use of blood and like makeup too. Like, yeah, you know what? Great job, y'all.
The camera work here does a good job of not showing you people waiting too much.
Right. Yes. You cut away from, or not cut away from, but you move away from.
It allows you to not think about that, which is huge, because like if you were just on a wide shot and then you'd be seeing more of the sort of stalling to get back in kind of stuff, you know, which is always the enemy when doing like a 3-way fight, because to keep everybody totally busy is next to impossible. So
right, it's a little bit easier when you have this, when he has like 2 blades, because but you have to get the choreography really right, because he has to like be able to do the things without seeing, you know, each person doing their thing.
Yeah, it's tricky stuff.
Yeah, very tricky.
I definitely feel like there's always that distinction between performance and acting. I feel like the acting is definitely there. The performance, the intensity could go up a tiny bit for me, and it would be absolutely perfect. But I really love the choreography and the way that the characters are going in and out of all these situations.
Now, when you're saying intensity, what are you saying specifically? Are you saying like the way in which
there's what's that? Faster, more intense. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I'm saying like, yeah, I mean, because famously George did say that, but sometimes actors are also saying, well, what do I do with that? So I'm saying like, if I was one of these back, what specifically?
The thing I always tell my actors when it's said is like, when you are defending, I want you to go Jackie Chan with it. Jackie Chan's not a great fighter because he's just amazing at everything. It's because he's barely getting away from something.
Yeah.
So when you take a hit, I don't want you to, make it a great solid strike that you're defending. I want it to that hurt, and now you've given ground, and now you need to get back into it. You got to make up, because this is a chess match. This isn't just one strike, So that's when I need that intensity to sell that.
Yeah, that's huge too for Jackie Chan in particular. I think that's a really good person to emulate too, if you're trying to get really good reactions out of fight scenes, like not just being like, it is cool sometimes to have like the Ip Man or the Jet Lis who are just like, very stoic and like we're badass or whatever. But Jackie is always way more interesting to me personally, because it always seems like he's way over his head in any of the fights he's in. And I can feel that because I'm like, oh, I would be in that same situation too. I'd be like, yeah, I don't know how I'm going to fight all these guys. I'll grab this, throw it over your head, like having that kind of emotion, I think goes a long way in a fight.
Especially in a fight like this where you have a very clear master versus students. The master can start out the fight by having that stoic and I can't be beaten. And then as the balance of the fight tips, then he's really being pushed back.
I would put that out there as advice in starting, because it's one that I learned the harder way too, is that like it's very difficult, especially coming off of like, from the days of like episode 3 where you've got Anakin and Obi-Wan, the 2 super masters fighting for 40 minutes just flawlessly and perfectly. It's like, okay, that's one thing, but when you go and try to do it yourself, what it can end up looking like is that you're apathetic, you don't care. It's so rehearsed that you're not actually putting the the emotion into it, and so it's hard to start there. I don't advise it. Jackie Chan is a genius and should be absolutely referenced for this kind of stuff, because he'll sell the hell out of everything, and it's fantastic. So.
And directly bite stuff. Don't be afraid of directly biting stuff. Do that, guys. Honestly, you'll remix it on your own, just naturally. Just do it, and you'll go a long way. All right, is everybody queued up for the next one?
Yep.
Are we ready to go in 3, 2, 1? All right. And our next one here is, we just did Branded. So this is Brotherhood. Yeah. So this is the one, when it was starting, I was like, this is what I thought most people were going to do when the balance theme came up, because it would be like the whole idea of, oh, I know this person so well, I can't beat them because I know each and every one of my moves, like the thing we were talking about, Anakin, Obi-Wan kind of thing. But then like halfway through, it did a weird pacing thing where they started fighting someone else kind of a thing. And I was like, oh no, what happened? Your pacing was great. And then you moved away from it.
Yes. And something I really love here, and when the 2 of them are fighting, is how many like mirrored moves they do. Because I'm assuming they're brothers. And it just like they're doing the same thing, and I love that.
And there's story behind that
concept very clearly from the get-go, which really cues you into, oh, okay, I guess these guys are evenly matched. You have the same basic background to the training and everything, so it quickly brings you up to speed with the,
It's that old kung fu trope too, the trope of like, oh, you learn from Master Shin, I also learned from Master Shin. You both know the exact same style, and you implement it and completely mirrored.
Exactly, equally good. Yeah.
But this is the part where it kind of lost me, because it's like, oh, I was following, this whole brother conflict, but then it cuts to them fighting these Jedi, which I was okay with at first, but then it didn't go anywhere. And I was like, oh, okay.
I guess just getting the reaction of what are the differences between these two brothers, I guess is what is given to us here. But I do really enjoy the the production quality is not outstanding, but I like that it's very simple. Just have them wear the same outfit, and we instantly get okay,
Right. Yeah. That was very good choice. Also, them killing that kid, man, I felt really bad for that kid. Like that was a brutal freaking team up death.
Speaking of brutal deaths, we have like we had two entries. I'm not sure if both of them made the top 10 or either, but we had two just sort of merciless kills. Like we had like holding someone by the throat and then just cutting it anyway. And then there's another. I think there's another throat cut or something like that, wasn't there? Anyway,
there very much might have been, but yeah, there's a lot of in half, like cut people in half type of stuff going on for sure. Oh man.
I would have appreciated a little bit more attention to the costumes for the Jedi characters, because these guys, they have like a bit of the arm wraps and some stuff that kind of adds that little touch to it. And just something subtle, like maybe like an arm brace or just on one hand or something like that.
I'm not one to get on anyone for costumes or anything, but you're right in that we do have a Sith Lord right there who's in like a full getup. So
So once you make that establishment, you kind of keep that up. If you are just doing like regular dude versus regular dude like we have with some other coming up, you keep that consistent, because if you have it one way, you got to make sure that everyone is doing that.
And this location is pretty awesome. These
stacked rocks.
Yeah. Is that a natural formation or is that stacked?
I really can't tell.
I'm pretty sure it's natural.
Yeah.
I'm almost certain it's natural.
Yeah. Earlier they had kind of a built wall, but this looks like almost like a small quarry. I don't know.
Yeah.
What is sometimes these shots, I don't know how to verbalize it, but there's sometimes like the colors are getting mushed together. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, the
cinematography people, like what is that happening?
It's the brights are getting crushed and clipped from being pure white. It's because it's blown out a little bit, the image.
Could have been overexposed, and then they're trying to balance it in editing, but you're out of information at the top there.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why there's like hot parts of the image, but the lightsabers are white, and so on all the shots they're not quite matching up.
In terms of I guess feedback for cinematography, how do you guys usually suggest shooting for something like that? Like, do you shoot under slightly or do you shoot over when you're shooting?
I would generally like expose so that I can maintain highlights. Your darks are your shadows are gonna suffer a little bit, but you won't get that clipped out.
You can't get highlight. You can't get lost highlight detail back, but you can brighten and get grainy image. So that's often what they recommend. Although really, if you're in that situation, then you need more light on your foreground.
Right, just in general, which you could do with the bounce board or anything like that if you have a huge budget.
Yeah,
it's all about finding the right balance.
Oh my god!
All right, if you guys are ready and queued up for the next one, we're gonna go straight into number 5. Ready to go? All right, cool. In 3, 2, and 1. All right, so our next one up is Havoc, which is is it Yadfu? Yadfu? Is that how you say it?
Yadfu.
Yadfu or Yadfood. Let us know in the comments, man, because you enter like for the past like 4 or 5 years. Should know by now.
This one was a standout for me.
Yes, definitely.
No, my favorite thing about this one is as I'm watching it, I'm like making a story in my head about what happened with these guys. It's like a it's like a Lord of the Flies Jedi strand on a planet, and they just go crazy and start killing each other.
I actually like the idea of finally went crazy.
Yeah, because we have these like almost tattered Jedi robes that they've long since destroyed. So
Also,
the masters of not having people wait in this entry.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, what we were just talking about earlier, this is definitely, I mean, this is really firing on all cylinders in terms of the choreography is pretty interesting, and man, they stay busy. Like the camera work really highlights it nicely. So this is one of the few times where you really pull off that multi-prong vector fight.
Yes, and something that these guys did really well this entry was very good use of slow-mo, especially when he's like switching his grip around or like doing a small little thing here. That stuff like that. It's really well done.
And also cutting on action. I don't know if I can explain it too well, like verbally, but cutting on action is when you almost double the action from cut to cut so that you can see it happening. They do that very well. Even just the fact of like him taking off his robe when he was about to get into the fight and it dropping to his knees. It seems like such a the reason why you don't really notice it, like your brain doesn't notice it, is because that cut is so clean. I would advise people to go back, watch this frame by frame, and see how these cuts are working, because they work very, very well for flow.
Yeah, for sure.
Another thing these guys did really well to really do a lot with intensity is cutting out frames here and there to make certain hits go faster rather than speeding up the whole footage. You just you take out like the frame just before a punch would connect, and it sells that intensity just a little bit more,
which is a classic thing, but I actually didn't notice them doing it here. So I guess
if you do it well, you're not really supposed to notice it. But yes, Ryan Connolly is a guy from Film Riot, is a big guy about that too, about even just regular fist fights, about cutting frames out to make things look intense. This is great. The thing what's great about this particular 2v1 is that he's still moving his, either it's his backhand with a saber or he's got his forward hand slapping the wrist. So there's always busy work going on with the motion of his body. There's never anyone waiting, because every time they're attacking, he's defending in some fashion.
And let's not underestimate also the effectiveness of the shot, like him just eating shit into the dirt, and then the other guy screaming at him and stuff. I mean, this is building character and getting you invested in what's happening.
And also showing him this main guy like trying to move out from between people and keep them in front of him, and
because in terms of real fighting, that's what you're supposed to do. So you never want to be in a group of two people. You want to be on this side.
Say like this is one of the most solid multi-person fight of like any of the contests, I would say.
Right. And I wouldn't say this year. I mean, period.
Correct.
Overall.
Especially just being in a field and no real landmark to keep me centered where I am in the fight. I never feel lost. So and I love them. I gotta say, I really like the moments where the bearded guy here, like, he takes a moment whenever somebody gets hurt, and he's like, "It's be okay. It'll be okay." I don't know. I like that.
You did good, man. You did good.
Yeah.
And and with her especially, is this the one of the first times we've had force healing in an entry?
Possibly. You would think that get used more often. Although, really, I mean, I guess lore-wise, it takes longer. But even again, I don't want to spoil things. So there's a Star Wars thing that came out recently, and I figured one character was trying to heal another character. You'll know what I'm talking about when you watch it, Star Wars fans. But I figured that was, and this is like, I'm sure. By the way, this seems like entry. We only saw half of it, so I think you guys have more to look forward to. This big group fight that they seem.
I hope there's more to it that you guys
or it's
did.
just a great tease to end it on. But
You mean like Ryan versus Nate?
Yeah, exactly.
This entry was hitting on another, like, I love like the primal, like rage style fighting like that.
I thought you were gonna say Primal Fury and like use all their titles from previous.
This is really the Omega.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
I've been recently I started watching the show Vikings, and that your main villain guy, the guy with the long hair, has always like had that feel to him, and I love it.
You know what I would like to see? So next time they bring something out, let's have bearded guy be the good guy, and then little guy be the bad.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Do the reverse roles.
And Michael, I had a question about was it intentional that each of the main characters, like secondary actors, that on each side, one was in white and one was in black? Was that intentional?
While we wait for that answer, I'll point out that he just said that they didn't cut out any frames.
Really?
Oh, they're just fast. They're just fast.
They're that good.
You just gotta catch up.
that I can watch
Props for fighting barefoot, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh
good
yeah, that's right.
Good job with that.
I mean, not only is that difficult, but it does sell that. I don't know. I got a real good use the word primal. Like something happened here, and then at the end, the adults showed up, and the only person that didn't go crazy is like, "Can we please fix this?" It's kind of like, and I really loved it.
Nice.
There we go. You got the next one. Oh, get more.
You said it was intentional that there's the black and white garb.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Nice.
that's production design.
Balance.
And also balance. All right, so next one queued up. We're gonna go in 2 and 1. And the next one I believe is if I'm mistaken, history repeats is the next one that we have.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
These guys.
By
So these guys have
JK.
entered last 2 years. They actually won. Did they win the whole contest 2 years ago? Was
I
it
don't
with their-
recall which
against-
team is this one. Oh,
against
this
all-
this team. Yeah, they won the first time they ever.
Mm,
I love
Yeah.
this Seven Samurai thing going on, or
Yeah.
Samurai in general thing going on. I love anytime you run through foliage or water, like to start is you got me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I had a question about this. So, what is the modern thing versus like? Is it supposed to be like the history of like old fighting to like
And
medieval
then
to
future.
modern? Okay.
I think that's what they were going for.
Yeah, it's like a history repeats itself until balance is achieved, I think is what I.
Yeah.
Right.
The perpetual battle across time, man.
Yeah.
Gonna keep going and going.
And I like this guy's little X-Men headgear thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's the
Uh,
Gambit, right?
It
Like
kind of
old
reminds me of
school.
the Ralph McQuarrie old school Starkiller outfit, right?
Oh man, you gotta
Remember
remind me of that because I
Yeah.
don't even remember that one.
Yeah, if
I
you
like
see,
that trying to
yeah.
pull Saber from with the Force. Not you don't see that too often,
Mhm.
or at least the attempt of that.
Thinking about
Now,
the
for
feet
this
too.
one, I feel like they have good fundamentals in terms of like cinematography and editing. It's just that they just need to sharpen it up a little bit. Like I was saying
Yeah.
again, like cutting on action and that sort of a thing, like those sort of fundamentals. Because it's there, like you can see that they have the idea of like, yeah, okay, this move looks best from this angle. This edit is supposed to go here, but there's just like a little bit spots that need to be a little bit neater.
Yeah. And I would say that like something with the choreography is fairly solid. I would say that it needs like one more pass of intensity on top. There's a few times that you can I would like just like one more level of just giving
that
it
was a good
one
shot
more
too.
take of like just like giving it everything.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
that's a good shot to him having the like that look poster or something. And the close up that they had where they had the focus homeboy and out of focus, like that the fundamentals of that, like they have it there. Like I feel like they can achieve it. They just need to sharpen it up a little bit.
Yeah, and nice little cross guard prop there.
I can understand why people don't do this often. It's because it's freaking hard to roto.
yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, Eric knows firsthand.
Rotoing an extra 2 sabers.
Yeah. And if it ever crosses anything, then you have to deal with that too. Awkward.
I'm not sure I've ever. Well, whenever I see a crossguard saber come out, I'm always waiting to go. All right, now show me what you do with these two little things. Like,
why does this
how,
exist?
how is this different than it being like a normal saber?
Honestly, even in the movies themselves,
Yeah. No, hardly. The most it was used is when Kylo's just grinding against Finn and then just turns one of the edges into his shoulder, and it's like, well, okay.
And I think that the in lore reason for it is because aren't really meant to be extra
Blades,
weapons.
right.
It was an exhaust of like because we don't know how to hone this energy quite well enough, so we had an exhaust for it.
I would love that if they did like lightsabers that are just like pouring out like spark and smoke and just like just like they almost do it with Kylo's saber. But, yeah,
that's certainly the idea that's headed toward.
Yeah,
they're doing a good job of injury, making sure that there are bits of injury going on midway through fight.
Yeah. And then I love these matched cuts here, and I was like, I really like this part. I wish it had shown up a little bit more throughout the
Right,
fight.
that it was going on throughout. You know what I
felt
mean?
like,
Like,
yeah, I
you're
felt like
cutting between everyone.
the fight slowed down a little bit in the middle, because we were just staying on one setup, and I would have loved to see more of this kind of stuff here.
Yeah.
I also like, to me, you know, it. I really like the idea of this one a lot. This is like a very engaging sort of concept.
Mhm.
In terms of like the intercutting with the different fights, and there's sort of a thread that runs through them. And I guess I was kind of waiting to see something like something like you see a set of moves and then it gets somebody, and then we
Mhm.
go to another one of the scenarios where we see that same sort of set of moves and then a different outcome happens or something like that. You know,
Yeah, that
see
would have been cool.
see how these could like play off of each other in some way rather than just sort of you know,
almost
cutting.
like a live die repeat kind of situation, but through
Yeah.
reincarnation.
Oh, let that repeat. That's what's up.
Like, well, in my next life, you're not going to get me then.
The movie was called Edge of Tomorrow, by the way.
Yeah,
Originally.
Right,
They
yeah,
were
but it
called
should have
that.
been live, die, repeat.
Yeah.
Well, they try to make that happen after the fact.
Yeah, afterwards.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we're queuing up our next one. Oh, wait, hold on.
I will say that one also had really good costumes. I would say, like, they had like cool texture to them and layers and stuff, which is always something.
Yeah, even for the fact that we knew that one was modern, was like the middle tier.
Right.
So all that stuff was working. All right, so we got the next one queued up. We're gonna go in 3, 2, 1. And this one is Power Trade, the one with the little chitlins and the teenagers. Oh, I kind of like that quote. I actually missed that the first time.
Yeah.
Mind of a child, because they're playing with their imaginations right now.
Yeah.
I like this one. I think the thing I like about it the most is, you know, sometimes you watch entries like this and it looks like it was a lot of fun to shoot.
Yeah.
You know, like it seems like these guys are having fun on set, and I don't know, that kind of like just seeps into me sometimes.
I think I saw an attempt of using a bounce board of some sort on that child there. This one I would say, in terms of the editing and cinematography, it does feel a little bit too static. That was a really good little piece right there, though, when you had him falling back with the feet.
Oh, I love that
Most of
gag.
it's very static.
I'm gonna do that someday.
Yeah. It's a great one, man.
Digging the saber in to slow down, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look forward to that from me in 16 years.
When you're grandpa, Ryan.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. And they did a pretty good job of.
Oh, that kill
Yes.
is so
yeah.
good.
Pushing the
pretty
hand
good.
through that's brilliant. I love that.
That was a
Yeah,
very
yeah.
Eric Whiteley move right
Nice.
there, I would say.
That put this entry from like not too bad to I gotta put this pretty high
Nice.
because I just had so much fun.
Me too. That's the kind of clever stuff that I'm always looking for, you know.
Yep.
And
I love, you know, the theme is balanced. This guy doesn't want to be the bad guy. I don't want to use the red lightsaber, and I'm not going to kill him. You know what? And then he does.
Yeah, I'm not going to be. Yeah, that's pretty good. Damn it, you make me bad no matter what.
Yeah.
And now I look like a bad guy because now the friend's here and he thinks I just killed you.
Yes.
Although this
guy's good.
Must have done everything gymnast related when he was younger. He's like, oh, I can actually put this to use.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, they're peppered in here with, you know, sometimes it's just really forced, you know, but my recollection is that this actually
this one
weaves
flowed
in
mostly.
decently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I wonder, are these little ones your actual little ones, or are they just kids that look similar to you guys?
Yeah. Are they like, this is all the older brothers and younger brothers?
Yeah, and you know, before this guy came into the fight, I did have that feeling of like sometimes you're watching a fight and it looks like the actor's feet are trying to catch up to the choreography.
Yeah.
I feel like when he comes in, he's really using his feet and he's really balanced, you know, shoulder width, and it enhances the other guys' performance, honestly.
It felt like a little bit that they were able to, these two, the red shirt and purple shirt, were able to practice a little bit longer, like do a few more rehearsals.
And sometimes what it is too is you have someone who's really good that elevates you. That's why I feel like the Maul versus Obi-Wan and Jin fight is so good, is because they had a real Ray Park there, you know, to help, you know, the Ewans and the Liams, you know, look really good.
Oh, and they just said in chat that those are their brothers.
Oh my god, it's insane that they all were like the same age.
That's nice.
That's incredible. that happened like that.
You know, definitely creative kills are some of my most favorite things in these things.
Yeah.
If you have a good kill, it elevates the whole fight for me. I love it.
Yeah, and good job with you just look like you had fun on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that looked like that was really cool. I actually really enjoyed that one and wasn't expecting to at the start, especially when Red Street came in. Like that really elevated it. Like and
especially
his
like
kills.
back half.
Yeah,
It's
and the kills really good.
It's honestly it's the kind of entry that makes me want to go out and shoot something. So
yeah, when you're seeing new stuff like implement it like that, yeah, super
definitely.
cool. All right, we got our next one going up. We're queuing up in 3, 2, and 1. And then this one is, oh my god, I had it in my mind. Rust Autumn is our next entry in here.
Rust Autumn. Oh,
And
okay, yeah.
I told this to my friends. I think this main guy is the most likable person that's been in a lightsaber entry.
Oh, because of the flash
just
stuff?
like seems like a really nice character.
And you know what I like too?
He's a
like
good dude. Yeah.
I definitely feel that, but when he's fighting, I can really feel power behind his strikes.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Like what a Jedi should be. Like she seem really friendly, but then once they fight, don't mess with me.
Yeah. And also they did a pretty good job with the lightsaber sound design on this one, I would say too.
Yeah, and even just what he was doing with the flipping and everything, like making the double saber work even when it's in between strikes, it goes a long way. Just having flashing lights helps a lot. Oh, by the way, I think earlier we were saying that this reminded us of the color palette, and like the little girl reminded us of the Old Republic trailers.
Yes. Yeah, because there's like you can see that they're talking, but you're not hearing anything. But like everything is communicated visually. That's what I really loved about it.
From a technical standpoint, I actually asked Antoine. I'm like, hey, the audio on this one it's supposed to be like that, right? And I mean, so maybe that's to say that there could have been more of a prominent musical presence or something going through that, but I mean, because I like the idea of the visual storytelling and everything that's happening there makes sense just to watch it. So, but I had to question it to be sure.
Yeah. And especially there's in that scene in the totally black room, it was good camera work. It was like it was supposed to be confusing and shaky, but you could still see what was going on, and I appreciated that.
It's like a tone poem.
You know what? I just want to say this. I wonder if these people are Canadian. They just seem like they're Canadian. I don't know if I'm right or not, but that just feels Canadian to me.
It's like the Jedi Order insignia, but it's a maple leaf in the middle.
Well, I just feel like I don't know, like you're saying, nice people or whatever. I don't know. It's like Canada. This feels like a Canadian lightsaber fight. I don't know if they're actually in the chat right now or not, but if you could confirm Canada, that will help me so much.
And I think for what this is, they packed a lot of character into these couple minutes with this guy. Like he was using these double-bladed saber, and then he was.
That's a really good moment for this little girl too, when she like does her force push and she realizes, oh man, I have.
Yeah, but then he found balance in this girl, which is
right.
And that's why
real good child actor actually.
Likening it to the Old Republic trailers and like how much they're just able to communicate visually in like a few minutes. And it was
I feel like that was definitely a component of inspiration for this one.
Hey, not bad inspiration, man. That's a baller ass fucking trailer.
Oh, dude, those trailers are the best Star Wars there's ever been. In my opinion.
Right. I completely agree.
Yep.
The brothers is my favorite. I think.
Yep, the brothers and then the mother and daughter are my favorites.
Absolutely, like a sequel,
Yeah.
Like if they announced that one, that's what
same world. Anyway,
and this one, like, it was feeling for the guy. Like,
right,
I can feel his, especially toward the end, just before he's losing.
And it goes a long way too. And you can do it in the space of 15 seconds. Like commercials do it all the time. In 30 seconds, you like at the end of that, if it's effective commercial, you feel for those characters in that. You can do that, and that goes a long way. I feel like in a fight scene like this, because you do want to know who you're supposed to root for or who you kind of are backing. Giving that moment, just that space. Like I'll say that for Max's loyalty. the little bit he didn't do a lot, with the story stuff. It was like,
Mhm.
just little spurts of dialogue, but just having that there elevated that duel so much more by caring about these people and caring about what kind of outcome happens within the space of that.
Mhm. And there was a small moment back there where his shoulder armor got tipped by a lightsaber,
Yeah,
and it was
I
just
like
like,
that.
good job using the armor.
Phelan, don't do it, Phelan.
In the set before this one, before this part, like
Mhm.
cameraman was just as much a part of the choreography. He was
Yes.
like getting in there with each shot and selling the
Mhm.
just by moving the camera. I loved it so much.
Yeah.
It was good.
Yeah, that's a big component to making sure that your cameraman is just
Right.
as your.
Now, did I understand this correctly? He put the saber to himself and ignited it through himself into the other guy. Is that correct, or did he just?
He was just about to,
He was
and
going to.
she.
Oh, she stopped it before it.
She
Yes.
stopped him from
It
going.
looked like the following reactions could have been. I just turned it on and I got stabbed. So
Yeah.
I wasn't sure
Yeah,
about
I
that
think
because he
it
looked
was-
okay at the end, and I was like, "Wait, what?" Okay,
They were giving you that moment of like, he did it. No, he didn't.
Mhm.
But
very good.
yeah,
Cool. So, any last comments? Queuing up the next one.
Mhm. No, that was just a pretty solid one.
All right, cool. Let's go. Queuing it up in 3, 2, and 1. This next one we got now is Perpetual Force.
Perpetual Force. Yeah.
This one was I think a pretty strong one if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
I really like it.
Mhm.
I honestly, this is one of the few that really got me going. Like, yeah, come on, let's go. Like, it made me want to get out and do it some
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
Oh, good way of not having any copyright by Star Walker. Good job. Well played.
And this one had that feeling. It's something I try to capture in my fights. Especially I tried to do it in Prevail. Was the feeling of like running down a hill and you can't stop, and so you just kind of. That's something I always try to do, and this one had that.
That is a perfect way of describing Prevail, I would say. Running down a hill and not being able to stop. That is perfect.
So this is another. This is another really good. Three person. They keep very busy and they move pretty freaking fast throughout
they
this
do.
whole thing.
I think these are one of those groups that are like one of those lightsaber groups that do this kind of thing all the time. Like
Right.
Go to like the conventions and fight and stuff like that.
I mean, if they are, they're the best I've seen yet. I love
I
that
could
fighting
potentially agree with that. And to me, what this feels like to me is the difference between some entries that we've seen and one where you really have this drilled. Like this feels like folks who got together at least weekly and really worked on this over a long period of time. Like, and you can sort of feel that,
Yep.
And what an awesome
especially
location.
in the back end, Yeah, great location.
Where are they? This place looks great.
Yeah. And good job with it doesn't look like you rotoed the sabers. You just added the contact flashes and sparks, and it's really effective for me.
There might have been a little bit of roto, like in certain, because there's some shots where it looks like roto.
I think I've noticed a couple of times where there's like a flash at the emitter sometimes in some of these shots, but I might just be wrong about that. I don't know.
Well, that could just be like the bulb in the emitter catches the right angle and sort of flares you.
But
he said in the chat, no roto.
Wow, what are these? Because
yeah, these are bright.
Yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know what they are. And then shooting on a nice open lens at night, and it looks great. I mean, it's wonderful that we're in a world where you can shoot something like this.
That's awesome.
I really like the streaky sparks that come off whenever they hit too. It looks good. It has like a dust effect almost.
It looks a little bit like
that's so cool. The double
Andrew Kramer
real good.
firecracker.
Yeah, it could have a little bit of action essentials in there.
One thing the pretty much the only thing I would have liked a little bit more in this entry was the camera work.
I agree. I was waiting to say it.
It feels like the camera is just kind of like watching everything from afar, and I wanted the camera to be in there just a little bit.
Because if it was, this would be a killer entry.
But this choreography here is just like Oh man.
Definitely the moments when you separate, you need to get in there and get those emotions. But
Like
I
that
really
kick he
love
just
the-
did. The kick he just did
Yeah.
against his hand. That'd be
He
a
did.
perfect moment for slow
Yeah.
motion, just so we can see like what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You know, you really the leftover thing would be to sort of break into these moments a little
Mhm.
more,
Mhm.
perhaps milking some of them more, selling some of them a little bit more. I mean, I can appreciate that this is just go, 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 and it doesn't break
Right.
the momentum that it
Oh,
has. But
I love
we
that set. I'm
really,
sorry, it's so
God,
good.
Yeah.
look at him go, man.
Yeah.
Honestly, in terms of
Pow,
choreography,
pow,
this
pow.
was one of the top ones, I would say. Like in
I
terms
think,
of
Yeah,
great choreography.
absolutely.
Yes.
yeah. I mean, and for me, a lot of that is the performance. Like
Right. Yeah, not as performance, yeah.
the speed and intent and everything is just really, really good. And because a lot of the actual choreography itself, the vocabulary of it is pretty simple. But
Mhm.
when you're getting 12 moves a second, you know, it's really,
Yeah.
that's a different thing.
Wow. So the guy that did this in
There
chat
was
is
some
saying
roto.
he's saying he built the sabers.
Wow. You
Okay, then
sell those,
specifically,
bro.
I would like to know what LEDs are in those.
Yes.
Those are
Yeah.
great.
Also, can I buy some? And um,
Holy
yeah,
snap.
a kind of a additional thing I want to say about the cinematography. It looked like the camera was on a steady cam or some kind of steady rig. Something I noticed, and that this happens in like even movies and a lot of times when they do oneers, is that especially when the camera's on a steady camera movie, there's a small amount of the camera always having to catch up to the action, especially when you're moving a lot.
Yeah.
And I noticed that a little bit in this one. So that would be a thing where choreographing the camera movement a little bit more would help.
Yeah.
But it's just like this had such amazing choreography.
I
mean,
want you guys
honestly,
back in next year, please.
Yes,
yeah,
please.
definitely. Honestly, it seems so
Is-
well rehearsed that they just like, all right, just do it a bunch of times. I'm gonna run around, and then we make it in the edit. Is kind of the feeling I got from that.
Is this your guys' first time entering, or have you entered before?
I don't even
Let
recall.
me know.
That's why I'm like, I don't think I've seen it before.
I was super impressed. That was amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And you know the story, you know, like the crawl in the beginning, like I like those type of things sometimes, but you know I want to see the story told in the fight.
Right. Yeah, not
So
entitled cards.
maybe next time focus on communicating why these characters are doing what they
Right.
do instead of what they actually are doing.
Yeah, I wanted the camera in there for just a little bit more character. Yeah.
Which is what we were saying before about the previous entry. You know, if you couple that, you get as characters that we care about, you know,
Mhm.
beef up a little bit of your camera, like there's no, you're gonna be unbeatable at that point. You know, so like,
I would say another entry this year that did a good job of showing the characters was Branded. The guys that are
Branded.
fighting in
Branded,
the
yeah,
stream.
as well.
Yeah,
Definitely.
you could see their faces as they were fighting. I mean, part of that's the location, but or the shooting in daytime, but still, they're just a
And
little
also a style too, just in general. Like, you know, like the way a person fights, like why they choose to kick, why they choose to strike at a certain part of the body, like that kind of stuff goes a long way as well. Because sometimes you can kind of get samey choreography, and then everyone just kind of looks like the same fighter versus it being a distinct, like, oh yeah, that person's like the brute, that guy's like really about being fast, that one's more about fencing, you know, that kind of stuff goes a long way.
I do feel like whenever you start out in a contest like this, you try to differentiate your styles by what type of lightsaber you have versus how you're moving. You know, so if you're like, well, now I have one, now I have two, now I have a double, like that's not necessarily the style. It needs to be, I'm quick, I'm fast, I'm strong, those kind of things, you know.
It's you know, you automatically get the crutch of you have color coordinated opponents, so it's easy to tell who's who, but it should be done through the the storytelling of the character of the fight. Yeah,
It's Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy. You know, you had double, or you might have had you know, a staff, but you still had strong style, fast style, you know, mid style, and there's differences even when you have like different weapons.
Yeah, like for example, you know, The Force Awakens. I don't think there's necessarily anything bad about the lightsaber fight at the end of that movie, but it doesn't. I don't think it brings into the choreography the fact that Kylo is hurt. You know, he's been shot with this bowcaster. The movie spent the entire time showing how powerful it is, but in the movements themselves, I don't feel it.
Right. It's only those in betweens, like when he was like punching
just
himself or
hitting
walking
himself.
away, but not the actual move.
Yeah. So give me a good reason why your fighter moves the way he does. You know,
Which would have gone a long way to explain why someone with the proficiency that he should have could
exactly.
could actually have a fight longer than 10 seconds with these
Exactly.
characters.
Right. All right, we're gonna queue up the next one really quick, and we'll talk. 3, 2, 1, goop. And our last one is the last nomination of the day is Stay
are.
Alive.
Stay alive.
Staying alive. Staying alive. Although you guys' the intro is really cool. Like whoever did your animation, really simple. It's just a guy going overhead with the saber. Pretty cool.
Nice.
Oh, this is the parking lot one. Okay, I remember this one. Yeah. This is another one that I assume is not rotoed as well.
Yeah. My favorite thing about this one is how low the ceiling is, and you get that glow on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
It looks so good.
I was saying about this one, and there was another one of a bunch of people fighting in a warehouse. There was
In a
another
dark
entry,
room.
and
Yeah.
it looked like a graphics card test or something, or like a real time render test where they want to just like throw as much light and reflections in there as possible.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah, nice little detail with the sparks. There's just a moment ago.
Yeah.
And the purple and the blue will really pop.
They do.
Yeah.
And this is another one that we don't really have a story. So like, yes, nice fighting, nice choreography, but like who do I care about right now? Like, am I supposed to be rooting for Blue Saber? Am I like afraid for purple? Like, I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah. I would have appreciated a little bit more story and character in this one. Oh, sorry about the motorcycle in the background.
I've had plenty. It's okay.
and it should be noted that the idea of bringing out difference in character here doesn't necessarily mean having a 30-second backstory of somebody killing somebody's wife or whatever, but it's in what we were kind of talking about before, and just sort of having it come through in how they fight. And a lot of you can cheat right into that by getting into some close-ups and seeing how they react to what's happening and what the intent is.
Yeah.
And I find that even the simple dynamic of someone who's very aggressive and someone who's very defensive, you sort of tend to go, oh, okay, you're with the defensive person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why typically I think with you, with Ryan Dorkman, it's typically, generally speaking, someone's like, oh, the Dorkman is the one that we're kind of rooting for because you're usually the aggressor. But I guess once people see that you lose all the time, they're like, okay, actually, you know what? Can we see Ryan win for a change? And then even with you, Eric, when you used to fight with Shane, you guys are so different in like, your dynamic where, you're generally the brute and you're just trying to smash through him. And then Shane's usually trying to beat around your blade with speed. Like that kind of thing goes a long way.
Yeah. And for ideas on different things you can do with characters, like I always like when a character is way more focused on his environment and where he is, and another one is just trying to rush through and destroy, that isn't thinking about where he's going. Play with that kind of stuff too, because you had a lot of pillars and stuff in this one that you maybe could have done a little bit more with.
Yeah, and there was just a shot where we saw the guy walking toward the daylight, and that was the first time I'd clearly seen his face at the very end. So yeah, seeing faces a little bit more would be helpful.
Humans generally, take well to other human faces.
What?
Especially in a narrative.
Well, when you want to relate to them,
Yeah,
it helps definitely.
Yeah.
I think that this one, it's funny because, especially seeing it right after what we watched before, where, similar, we've got the actual light casting props and everything in an environment that doesn't factor in hugely to the choreography itself. And what made them feel so different. Right. And I think this one could have used a little more, practice, perhaps. I mean, rehearse, just sort of just drilling it and really getting it up and refined and a little bit quicker. I think might have helped. The camera work and stuff. We got a lot of shots where we're just sort of wandering and trying to keep it in frame and keep focus in the dark, and that too. So that that could have helped. But I think it lacked a certain intensity in the performance that would have helped pick it up.
Yeah.
Cool. So at this point now, everyone, it's time for you guys to take a break. And I really do mean every year. We don't make these decisions like 5 minutes. So seriously, get up from your seat, walk around a little bit, go to the bathroom, eat some food, get a snack. And then we'll see you guys in about 30 minutes as the judges will deliberate and come up with our winners for each category that I'll reiterate is for theme, choreography, production design, cinematography, editing, visual effects, and then the overall entry vote. So see you guys in about 30 minutes. Bye.
Bye-bye.
We're heading.
That's fine.
Wake up, everybody. Wake up. We're back with some winners. All right, guys. So if you are away from your computer and you're just waiting to hear our voices, actually in the chat right now, I want to hear from you guys a little bit. What were some of your favorites this year?
Yeah.
Before we get into what our favorites were this year.
And also, they don't have to be top 10, just like
they don't have to be top 10 either. If you want to give a shout out to somebody who wasn't in top 10, you're like, but I like that one. Why did they not like that one? Tell us right now. Also helps me know that we're actually, live right now. If you tell me like what your favorite is, it's kind of a trick. Oh, there we go. Okay, we have Mr. J with Havoc. Someone said Jeffem with behind the scenes.
Yes.
Branded.
That was
yeah,
another
sure.
one.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes is really funny. I actually really like that one.
Yeah, I love behind the scenes, and I also really enjoy Fulcrum. Just as a little like film, not so much the fight, but I like the master in that episode.
Yeah, for me, I was really intrigued by the story, and I would love to see more of that.
Oh, Power Trade, the one they said in the comments. They say the one with the kids and the teenagers. That was Power Trade.
Power Trade was good.
Got another Havoc in there.
Yeah, that had some cool stuff.
Yeah. Oh, someone said Psychosis. Yeah. That was good. Good job on doing a sequel to an entry you did last year. I like seeing that. Yeah, a continued story.
All right, cool. So I think everybody's back in. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to have several of us. We're doing theme first. So we're going to start off with Eric, who's going to lead us for theme and then choreography straight after. So go ahead, Eric. Let people know what we were looking for in theme and who we chose.
Okay, this year's was theme. This theme was balance. I am unbalanced, and you needed to be balanced for this year. Okay, so we what we're doing here is we have a runner-up and we have a overall winner for each category here. So what we were looking for is how do you take this this theme of balance and integrate it into the story, into the fight, into the editing, into all the different aspects. The runner-up for this one was Brotherhood, which was the two brothers fighting.
Yeah,
really enjoyed that one in terms of the balance theme. Not a whole lot of you guys went like real hard on the balance. Brotherhood definitely did. But the winner overall of theme is Branded, which
there you
was
go, Branded.
One of our favorites. So Branded won on theme. I really enjoyed in that one how the power scaling of the two students against the master had to even out and balance before they could actually defeat him. So really enjoyed that one. Congratulations to Branded.
Sweet. Yeah. And then we are moving on now to choreography.
Choreography. Okay, so what we want to see is we want to see good styles. We want to see intensity. We want to see these force-sensitive monks in space who can see the future, fighting 3 moves ahead. We want to see that kind of stuff in there, but we also want to see intention and consequence and all that. So we did have a runner-up for that was Perpetual Force, which we were all extremely impressed. And if that was their first entry, I'm not sure if we got an answer.
Yes, it was.
That was the first
Is that
time.
right? Yeah.
I cannot wait to see what you guys bring next year. That's going to be amazing.
Yeah, especially like fine tuning the filmmaking as a whole on it.
Yeah. But number one, the winner of this choreography category was Havoc. So
Now, I don't want to let you guys off on this one because these guys deliberated for quite a long time
We
between
did.
these two. It wasn't a case of just being like, yeah, Perpetual Force 2, Havoc 1. It was like going back and forth for a solid 15 minutes there.
Yeah. A lot to consider and weigh, especially in light of acknowledgement via other categories and the idea of an overall and stuff. We were trying to find the best way to make sure that the spotlight is shown on what best deserves it. But both of those were super fantastic in terms of the just the fights themselves. Excellent.
And then moving on to production design, which is a new one. I'm glad that Max is doing this one because he's probably the one who is the production design person of this contest. So it's great that he would, bring this up. But take it away, Max, production design.
Yeah. So production design. Things we're looking for is like, does your production design fit the characters, and does it feel lived in and real, and is there a lot of care put into it? And so for us, the runner-up for production design was Balance of the Force. You guys had like a really cool location, and your camera work actually really showed off your location and how much care you put into your costumes and everything, and the makeup and the special effects there were really, really good. And for the winner of production design, we have Branded.
Branded wins.
Yes, and for
Them dirty clothes. Them
Yes.
dirty clothes.
Your makeup was the like the scars and the blood and wounds, and then just the texture of the clothes and the layers you had, and it just everything the world felt lived in. And yeah, it was really cool.
Cool.
Good
So
authenticity to the texture of the world we're watching.
And that's a big thing too, that like what new Star Wars is trying to do, and like kind of be in with the old crowd, is being like, look at our Star Wars is dirty. I mean, not to be cheeky about it, but that is really important though, to make sure that your world does feel like it's lived in and it's not all pristine and clean. Because I know that sometimes we go to these costume shops and we you just get that first thing and go straight to shooting, but it is good to go ahead and roll in the dirt sometimes, and before you get to shooting.
And I should point out right now, I'll just take the moment between categories here. In the chat, there's a question of why not top 3? Why is it just why is it a winner and runner up? And I think it's fine to. Nobody's getting paid here, so we can. This is this was going to just be the winner of each category, just one. And we found ourselves really torn on a lot of these and needing to acknowledge more than one in the category in an official way, not just a, hey, who almost made it though, this one. And so we felt it started to feel right to have a winner and a runner up in a lot of these categories, just to make sure that two are sort of officially legitimately acknowledged.
But never fear, popular vote and overall still have a top 3. It's just that these other ones are
and
not gonna
a lot of times on these other ones, like when we get to the third one, it's just like maybe this one, it all kind of starts to blend a little bit. So
in a lot of these, there was a clear sort of top 2.
Yeah.
I feel like is how it ended up shaking out this year. So
yeah, this year in particular. So next up is cinematography. Max, take that away.
Yes. So we were looking for does the cinematography show what you wanted the audience to show, what you wanted the audience to see, and was the camera a part of the choreography, and also something I look for is like, does it look like a movie? And so for, let's see, here's my list. For number 2, or for the runner-up, sorry, on cinematography, we have Branded. You guys had really like solid camera work. It showed everything really well. It wasn't like overly shaky, and I'd been following you guys on Instagram, and I saw you had a nice steady cam rig, and
nice.
Appreciate seeing stuff like that being used in these. And then, so for the winner on cinematography for this year is Havoc. And
Havoc!
Your camera, and Ryan said it really well when we were deliberating, is that the camera guy looked like he was working out just as much as everyone else on
Yeah.
that set. Well, yeah, what were you saying about that?
Yeah, no, I dropped it. I was scrubbing, the entries as we were speaking
Uh-huh.
about them and just refreshing on them and everything, and I dropped into a random part in it. I'm like, man, that camera guy's working as hard as these fighters are right
Yep.
now, and it's very dynamic. There's a lot of I mean, the shots are handsome and everything, and that's always number one. But it's also like a lot of, we were talking about this also it's how it reflects the choreography. The shot choices and exactly what kind of lens you're on, and how far you are, and how that camera's moving. That's all included in this category, and it's just so clean and tightly done. Havoc.
Yeah.
It's just like it feels very refined.
Mhm.
And Brandon was
Continuing,
cool too. There's some great looking stuff in there. So
continuing on the frame of making things look clean, editing. Ryan, take it away.
sure, I guess that's clean.
Hey, if you make a clean cut, man, that can make anyone feel right.
Sure. All right.
Hey, there's a certain entry that did a bunch of really clean edits, and it made me feel a certain way.
Okay. That's true. That's fine. Okay, so editing, we're talking, strictly speaking, it's how we're getting from one shot to the next and one scene to the next, and really how we're, strictly speaking, how you're cutting between these things. And so there's obviously a lot of interplay there with cinematography as a category. But I think a lot of the things that we were thinking about, and feel free to chime in, you guys, was also like, well, let's just do it, and then we'll talk about them in a specific context. So for editing, our runner-up, second place, we want to give it to Rust Autumn. And yes, this was a good, I think, I was feeling a lot like Rust Autumn is doing something that no other entry is really doing in at least that level, which is like the sort of storytelling. It's a real film, and we have this sort of intermixed, intercut backstory and the character building and stuff like that. And so it's doing something a little different and beyond what a lot of the other stuff is doing, rather than just explicitly how tight the sequence is cut and everything like that. And so we wanted to definitely give a shout out to that one.
Yeah, bringing in multiple scenes as well, because most of the time
Yeah.
these entries are just like one location, and this
Right.
one you had a whole bunch in this one.
Yep.
Yeah, and in that category, like, it's sort of an acknowledgement. I would personally throw to history repeats, for example, and a lot of like those match cuts and the choreography and that kind of thing. So, all right, and then number one, winner for editing on this year's Saber comp. Got to give it to Havoc.
Give it to Havoc.
And it's just,
It made me feel a certain way.
it made you feel a certain way. But it's just, I keep using the word tight. But it's really, it's it's nicely refined, and it really gets in there. And again, the play with the cinematography and stuff. But for me, things like decisions about like how it would go into slow-mo to really show you something off. That's cinematography, but it's also kind of editing. And then one thing that I think Havoc did probably the best out of all of them is choosing to go into close-ups and to give you these little character beats and these moments of just the grit and the texture of it and everything. And that's huge. And we mentioned it many times throughout a lot of these entries. That's the kind of stuff that really gets you invested in it and really brings it up to the next level. And when they do it right, it's just a smooth, great thing that you just enjoy watching. And I think that's what we're responding to a lot with several of these categories in Havoc so far. So
Nice. And last up for our lead up categories is visual effects. And we've got the visual effects dude here. He's actually even got an Emmy for one. Take it away, right? Is it with you somewhere? Do you have it near you?
No, it's in storage.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in a very small place right now. I can't pull it out and show it to you.
He's a liar! Fraud!
I don't even have my Force Awakens poster in here to brag about my geek cred. All right, visual effects. That's a pretty self-explanatory description of a category, I think. And so we had our runner-up here. Oh, that's what Havoc. And really, there's an interesting thing with all these entries in that we're pretty, it's pretty, it's a year of a lot of just lightsabers, and so and a lot that look good too, and often there's been previous years where there's plenty of lightsabers that are, they're rough in terms of the effects, and some that are really slick, and in that playing field of just sort of sabers, mostly, Havoc is very slick, and other nice stuff too. The little touches, a burn on the face, sky replacement, and the moon up in the sky, and all that kind of stuff. Just nice. Sits in there very nicely. Mostly not too overstated stuff. Just plays well. But number one, for our visual effects category, giving it to Balance of the Force. First in our series here. Helps that one, you've got this whole, you've got a trailer for it basically. The running up into the fight scene, and so there's a lot of interesting, cool little things they get to do there that are counting in the as part of the film, and electro staff and that kind of stuff look good. Nice blaster hits and things like that.
We
nice
had
little
the lean out over the alley. That was good too.
Absolutely. So
and one that was being deliberated too was the comedy one. I'm forgetting the name of it.
Right.
Balance right.
Balance right. Yeah, that one too. That was another one that was being discussed between you all.
They did a lot of stuff. It was worth, in this year's crop, it's sort of like it was easy to kind of point to that one and go, hey, well, talking about visual effects, these guys spent some hours in front of a computer to do that. So
Cool. And so now moving on to the big one, we have the popular vote and the overall. Now, usually we use the popular vote as a way of a tiebreaker. That didn't happen this year because actually some of our top choices, because I don't want to reveal anything yet, were very similar to the popular vote. And so we'll say that right now. I don't even know if I really want to reveal the popular vote because that's going to reveal the vote. So here's what I'll do. I'm going to do the overall winner thing, and then I'll explain how the popular vote factored in that to say that it didn't factor in at all, really. But overall winner of I was going to say LCC, got to get it off of that, Saber Comp. Number 3, Branded. Congratulations, Branded. It was one of those cases of having a very well-balanced entry of everything kind of doing the right thing when you have your production design and you also got, your choreography and you've got the performance in there. And the theme as well,
Slick camera work as well. It just
felt
cinematic.
Definitely found its way into a lot of our categories.
Yeah. Right. I mean, to be fair, like it won theme, which I feel like was kind of a big one this year because part of the reason of having theme is to make sure that everybody's honing in on this year's entry so we can know that everybody was working on this year. So to be fair, like, Brandon did do a very good job of handling that, which, we felt some of the entries this year didn't do so well with, but then also doing everything else well as well on top of that. Now, these next two are the number 2 and the number 1 of the popular vote, which is why we were saying, it's the same, but what we have for popular vote number 3, which didn't make it into our top 10, was an entry called "The Glass is Half Empty," which I would agree was a pretty good one in terms of the balancing theme. Because if I'm not mistaken, that's the one with the cup, right? And they were fighting, and who drops the cup. I thought that was pretty good too. As for one of the
utilizing the fair fight at the end.
So that was pretty good. But no more. I know you guys are all this anticipation, so here we go. Number 2. For the overall vote, also number 2 for the popular vote was Perpetual Force. Congratulations, guys. Very, very solid entry. You guys' fighting was balls to the walls, I would say. Dynamite. How do kids say it these days, right?
Dynamite.
No, this is how the kids say it these days. It slapped. That's literally something they say these days.
That's what they say. Okay.
It slapped. I'm probably saying it wrong, but I don't know. Whatever.
Is it on fleek?
Yeah, I think that one's out of fleet at this point. But that one I thought was really, really well done. Like the fighting in that one was very, very engaging. Like we said before, as we were looking at it, the thing that we would say that you guys can improve upon for the next one is, applying a little bit more of a story, give us someone to root for. Also, get your camera evolved in a little bit more interesting ways rather than just being kind of static. Because we felt like there was a lot of static shots.
Also varying the height of the camera because there was a lot of like eye level, shoulder level shots, and so kind of get down a little bit lower.
Mixed it up. Absolutely. Yeah.
And of course, without any further ado, the winner of Saber Comp 2019. This was your winner for popular vote. So you guys agreed with the judges this year. and it is none other than Stay Alive. No, I'm just kidding. It is Havoc. It is
How dare you.
Havoc.
How dare you. What is this, the Oscars? Yeah.
Yeah, what is the Oscars? No, sorry, no, really. Moonlight. You guys won. That was terrible.
Havoc.
Havoc is the
Havoc.
winner. Now, the reason this one gets it, although we will admit that it didn't really hit the theme for us this year, it did everything else so well. Now, especially I think the biggest factor was the tag team of cinematography and editing was flawless. Honestly, I really couldn't even say anything against its editing and cinematography. Everything about it was perfect, and then it had solid visual effects. The choreography, as always, on point. The performances of that choreography on point. Like you can't really ask for much more except for theme. But then that was pretty much it.
Yeah, and firing on every single cylinder you would need for a fight like that.
And I quite like this list because it goes nicely with my just sort of personal, all this aside and everything, just the ones that I enjoyed the most and would want to, sort of share and say, oh, you got to check this out. Perpetual Force is just really impressive to me. And Havoc goes just it's almost like it got our notes for Perpetual Force, right? Which is that it does get it to that next level with a lot of that sort of all the other sort of categories that we were ranking here. So it's awesome. It's great.
Yeah.
And for those of you who didn't make it to the top 10 or are wondering like, oh, what'd you think of our entries? We can, if you want, have us look at it. We'll do that for you in the Discord. But also, generally speaking, the notes that we gave to some of the entries this year will probably apply to yours as well. Like we said before, just make sure that your cinematography and your editing are working in conjunction. Make sure you're making good choices with your shot selection. Make sure your choreography and your performance is there for us so that we can feel it. As long as you do those things and you're applying that to your entries next year, you will easily, I will guarantee you, be in top 10. Just make sure that you're really honing in, and then just watching your favorite fight scenes. When you're watching something, you're like, oh, why do I like that fight scene? Really sit down and judge it shot by shot, frame by frame, and figure out how you can dissect that and replicate that in your backyard.
Yep.
And one really good thing to do is just show your friends, show people whose opinions you respect. And it's don't even really listen to their feedback. Just how do you feel showing it to somebody else? I find that whenever I show somebody something, I'm like, oh no, I fucked up. I gotta fix that. So
I agree perfect that and I don't know that I've heard anyone say it exactly as explicitly as you just did, but for me, but you're right. There's a completely different mentality between you're sitting there and watching it on while you're editing and everything, and then putting it in front of someone else. Suddenly you have a different opinion, which is very interesting, and so that's a very useful thing to do.
Even if that person you're showing to isn't gonna have like a lot of opinions about it, you're gonna look at it different.
Right? Yeah.
And of course, you'll always have the possibility that they'll go, "Oh, I didn't get this part," and then you go, "Oh," and then you can figure out why and see if you can help it out and get it clear or whatever. So,
and another thing to help is when doing fights is watching other fights, other from movies, and just like what are your favorites. That's what I did getting started, and a lot of my entries had like I just replicated certain moves, not always the same way it was shot, but like the actual moves a lot of times.
We all start there,
Yeah.
Yep.
By the way, Max, your grandma wants to let you know that she loves you very much.
Oh, really?
If you're in the chat.
Hi, Max's grandma.
Oh my god. Is there any other entries you guys wanted to give credit to that didn't make it into top 10, or like, because by the way, guys, this year when we made the top 10 list, there were a few entries that weren't really agreed upon when it was like getting to choice 10 and choice 11 and that kind of thing. So were there anything that you guys didn't get on the list that you were like, oh, I thought that should have been on there, and you enjoyed quite a bit?
I definitely enjoyed Fulcrum. I said it before, but that was really actually kind of in middle of my list. I had it pretty high, so really enjoyed that one. So shout out to those guys who did that one. And I just it did make the top 10, but I absolutely loved the kill moves of Power Trade with grabbing the arm and throwing it, and then the backwards strike going up. I mean, I love those not only because they're just great fun moves, but it's something you can't do in a sword fight. I've seen so many sword fights, but a good lightsaber fight, those are hard to come by. So. Yeah, really enjoyed Power Trade as well.
Pushing the hands down through that saber was like one of the best things I've seen this year.
Yeah,
like,
that was great.
That's why you make a lightsaber fight. You know?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. Two that I wanted to call out in particular were Statera for doing a lot with balance, the theme with the scales and the light versus dark.
Yeah.
And then True Neutral for also having some like great makeup effects and costuming.
And I also wanted to shout out, I think it's just called Lightsaber with the 6-year-olds fighting.
Oh yeah.
That was so much fun to watch for me.
Oh yeah. He had that.
Yeah.
He's doing
And
some karate, that kid.
The really big lightsabers and stuff. I love that.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, one of the most popular videos on YouTube right now is it's like kids fighting. Well, I forget. It's like a 22 million view. Oh my god, what's the name of it? Oh my god, I'm gonna be mad at myself. Hold on. Give me a second, guys. I'm gonna find out what it is. Keep talking.
Is it like the one with the dad visual effects story? It's like Thor versus somebody. Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's something else. Hold on, I'm gonna find it right now. I'm gonna find it for you guys. It's like the most popular kids fight. It's called Revenge of the Kids. It's got 222 million views on YouTube.
Wow.
Whoa!
So kids who want to enter this contest, you can do it. You quite easily can, and you could potentially get a 250 million views on YouTube. So don't count yourself out. Yeah, there you go. Someone even said it in the chat. Revenge of the Kids. He knew what I was talking about. All right, cool. So a few announcements for next year's rules. We are going to be doing away with theme. We gave it a pretty good shot of 3 years, but we feel like we've kind of meet the end of that rope. So next year we are going to have dedicated rules. It's going to be a little bit differently. It's going to be a little bit different. How we're going to do it next year is similar to how you see for certain like 48-hour film festivals where you have to have a certain thing in it. We're not sure what those things are going to be, whether it's going to be choreography based or if it's going to be like a line in dialogue or like a certain location or prop. But whatever that is, it's going to be a way for us to know that you made this entry specifically for this contest and not that you made it, you had extra time to do it or anything like that. And that's the reason why we do these certain things, not to necessarily limit you people, but to, make sure that everybody's being fair and playing on the same time frame. But yeah, I think that's it for next year. Oh, and also we're talking about it right now, but we may be doing an entry fee for next year's contest so that we can facilitate prizes and that sort of a thing. And also we do need a few donations just to keep running the site and running all the pages that we do and having like things like this. As well as another announcement for the shirts that we have this year. We have 6 more hours left on the campaign, and then that's it. No more shirts until next year's versions, the 2020 version. So if you want that, there is a link in the description box, or I'll put a link right now in the chat. So go ahead and pick those up if you can. Discord people, if you want to update your roles for the winners, make sure that you get your Jedi Master or your Sith Lord roles. If you did enter this year on Discord, make sure you get your, I think, Jedi Knight, Sith Warrior roles. Whatever it is on Discord, check the roles area, and then we'll update you. But that is pretty much it, unless you guys have any last minute things you want to say about this year's contest or next year's contest.
Well done, everyone.
Yeah, good job. Thank you for all the people that entered. It was a lot of fun. I just love this time of year. Every year, just interacting with the community and just chatting about filmmaking and Star Wars, two of my favorite things.
Yep. Yeah, I really loved when Antoine sent me the list because I've been very busy this year. He sent me the list and I got to go home and just enjoy watching lightsaber fights for like 2 hours. That was so much fun.
My flight back to Japan was just watching lightsaber. I was like wondering, like, don't think I'm too nerdy, people. Like, if someone's like looking at me, like, he's still watching lightsaber videos. Like, someone, what are they thinking?
Yep.
But I think
it's tough. I'm sure it's tough when you do an entry and it doesn't make the top 10, and which is 2/3 of it. This year we get 30 entries.
Yeah.
And obviously it's just infeasible to sit here with all of us and go through it all. And so we want to whittle it down and make a little event of it and everything. But obviously want to just give a shout out to all those entries that we didn't just watch here with you and everything. But plenty good stuff going around in there too. So keep it up, and we'll see you in a future year, hopefully. So
yeah.
Sweet. And that will wrap up this year of SaberComp 2019. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for the live stream. Thank you for everyone who entered. Congratulations to Havoc I know you guys have been in the contest for, I want to say 4 or 5 years. What is it, Max? Do you know?
I think this is their 4th year.
This is their 4th year, and they've always been like right there at the top.
Yeah.
And they finally pulled it out this year, and deservedly so, because I think Havoc is one of their more stronger pieces that they've done. By far, and that 2v1 was amazing. But I'll see you guys on the next one. As always, I am Antoine. I guess we'll do a round table. Let's go, Ryan, you go, and then Eric, and then Max, and then I'll end it out for the outros.
To do what? Say our names?
Outro. Say your name, where people can find you, and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, my name's Ryan Weber. I have a Facebook. You can look me up on there.
There you go.
Everyone. Okay, go.
My name's Eric. I have a YouTube channel called Blind Wave, where we watch television and movies, and we talk about all kinds of awesome things. We have a podcast. We do a D&D campaign, which has been a lot of fun. Come check us out at Blind Wave.
And I'm Max Jordan. You can find me across most platforms at Max Jordan VFX, and my YouTube channel is Max Jordan, where you can see all my entries as well.
And I am Antoine. You can find me on my YouTube. It's Antoine Bandelet, although I'm not posting on there much these days because I'm doing other things. But yeah, social media, Discord, I'm usually around. Thank you guys once more for doing everything you did for us this year and being a part of Saber Comp. Peace, love, and may the force be with you always.